Good evening, everyone. Welcome here. Again, thank you for being here tonight and appreciate your support. So we're continuing, actually probably ending our series on love and fear, uh, and we'll be starting a different one next Sunday, unless we get into something really interesting and people want to continue next week. Um, at least that's the plan right at the moment. So just again, invite you to take a moment to give yourself a little quiet space and disconnect from whatever you've been involved in this day or week that may be still occupying your attention, and just relax into being present here for the next hour with us. Oh yeah, I forgot. So, alrighty. So we've covered a lot of different aspects. Of course, as with most things we do, it could be a long-term study, or really many of these topics are lifelong things. So I just try to hit some highlights that I think might be helpful. So since we're wrapping up tonight, I want to focus on the love aspect. We did a little bit of that before, and last weekend somewhat in the weeks before that. So uh, I have some specific things I'd like to share about that are just based on my experience and that hopefully will be useful. And then if you have questions or things you want to add, as always, you're welcome to do that. Oh, I see somebody's got a hand up already. Oh, Liz, go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Steven. Hey, I'm as the week has flown by, you had either said to me, I thought you said to me last week, either by the end of class we'd answer my question, or
Hmm.
during the week I needed to call you, or this class. I didn't do any of those things. So do you want me to call you instead?
Hmm. Sorry, dry mouth. No, go. If you remember what the question was,
Yeah,
go ahead and we can do that now. Otherwise, then yeah, we'll talk on the phone. But if it's presently in
yeah,
your mind, yeah, let's do it now.
thank you. I didn't want to bring the class. The class was so sweet at the end of last week. I didn't want to bring it up at the end of class last time. I'm like, we're talking about love and we're all happy and warm and fuzzy. I thought, let me talk.
You're gonna be the monkey wrench in the works. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I decided against it. Um, um, I was mentioning that movie Sinners,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then I had that weird experience with it,
yeah.
and of course I was falling asleep watching it, which is even better, fabulous. And I, in the moment, for whatever it's worth, it didn't feel like it got me, like as I was checking in as I was talking about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I opened something. I don't think I did because
Oh
it
no,
doesn't
no.
feel like I'm attached to anything or anything's attached to me.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to be wrong. But anyway, I guess my question was, um, the word portal keeps coming through my mind,
Hmm.
and I don't mean to freak people out or goo too weird on the evil side here, but it almost felt like that in what
Yeah.
was happening to me. And again, I was so they were talking about something like voodoo, and or that movie was about that, and it was about um, figures that were had passed over but came back as whatever evil
Right.
baddies.
Right.
And um and could it be for people that aren't aware? Could it be like a portal? Could it like get people? I mean, that's a dumb question.
No,
I
it's not.
mean, it
It's
makes
not a dumb.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a dumb question. So that's a that's an interesting one.
And it's
So
it's
yeah, anything, any
it's such a well regarded movie. It's so weird. Go ahead.
there's a lot of well-regarded things that are terrible. So
Yeah.
that's not, I don't, personally, I don't go by that standard at all.
Okay. All
But
right.
that's just me. There are things that are perfectly acceptable in our culture now that I think should not be acceptable. But but that's me. Um, so yeah, could it be a portal? Yeah, absolutely it could. The so I want to say something important about that idea in a moment, but but yes, the idea of things like um, the entertainment industry, the entertainment media, or any media, really, any electronic, digital, internet kind of media, whether it's entertainment, whether it's news, whether it's social, whether it's, whatever it is, um, opens us to a whole world of things that we would not otherwise have been open to. And that has both positive and negative attributes. We can access almost any knowledge in the whole world, ancient or modern, in a few seconds, which is extraordinary. That's never existed, to my knowledge, in the history of the world before. So that's amazing. On the other hand, you can get exposed to all kinds of dark things and lies and terrible people and awful images and hate and all kinds of things through these various medias as well, which are not good for us. Um, so the idea that any of those things can influence our consciousness, yes, and they're trying to. Now, some of them are trying to just to get ratings, and they think their movie or their show will be a good rating thing, and they'll get more money. They're not out to do any damage, but it still could be damaging, or it could be really helpful. So that, but the gatekeeper is not the person on the other side of the portal. The gatekeeper is you. So what we allow into our consciousness, uh, we don't have 100% control of that, obviously, because things just happen in our viewing, in our situation, in our circumstance that we're not in charge of. But but to a very large degree, we have control over what we're putting into our consciousness by what we're choosing to watch, what we're choosing to listen to, what we're choosing to believe, what we're choosing to read, all of those things. We're the gatekeeper of all those things. So being careful of that, yes, is a good thing. That's that's a part of our responsibility, as uh, as human beings to be responsible for that. So if you, as I said before, if you get a feeling that something's not safe or not good for you, not just in the evil sense, but in any sense, if you get the sense of some food you shouldn't eat right now, or going in a particular place you shouldn't go right now. Those are things that we should pay attention to because over a long, long, long history, the human biology has developed a lot of self-preservation mechanisms that work pretty well. And so paying attention to things like that's helpful. The As far as the the thing I want to say though is that one of the dilemmas we have when we talk about good and evil stuff, and and necessarily then the dark evil side of things, is that people get scared. And 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 then one of the results of that being scared is that they start questioning everything. And in the sense of, I know a person, for example, who considers himself a very devout Christian, and he is. I cannot remember a conversation in the last couple of years with him where he wasn't talking about Satan trying to get him, or watch out for this because Satan will get you there. Watch out for that because Satan's behind that. Watch out for this. I mean, his whole consciousness is really very acclimated to the dark side because he's so afraid of it, and he thinks that's a way of displaying his devotion to God, and I don't agree with that. But making people afraid that something's always out to get them, that kind of paranoia, especially in the evil sense I'm talking about, not being wise and discerning, I don't mean that, but really being afraid of all of this stuff everywhere is not a helpful thing. That actually helps us begin to orient our consciousness more toward the dark side. So we don't want to get, in essence, afraid. If for example, you thought, or anybody thought of all the awful things that could happen to you as soon as you leave home, the terrible things that can happen when you're driving a car, the terrible things that can happen when you're in a crowd, the terrible things that can happen when you're out in public somewhere, the terrible things that can happen when you're beyond the safety of your own home, um, and really began to think about all of them, the diseases you could get exposed to, the violence you could get exposed to, the accidents you could have, you'd never go anywhere. And what kind of life is that? So um, some of my friends that I have in Israel, for example, who've lived with terrorism for all their lives, um, they haven't stopped living their lives. And one of the things some of them have said to me is, as soon as we do that, then they win. And so there's a practicality to it. So if missiles are landing in your city, you need to go to the bomb shelter. You need to not sit home thinking, oh, nothing bad can happen to me. That's just stupid. That's not faith. On the other hand, never going anywhere in Fort Wayne because somebody could shoot a missile at Fort Wayne is unrealistic and paranoid and not a healthy attitude. So all of these things we kind of have to put into perspective. And knowing about good and evil can help us be more discerning and wiser in our actions. But we need to be clear that we're not, while accidents can happen to anybody, infiltration of evil into your consciousness is not an accident, and it doesn't happen without your permission or orientation in that direction to a significant degree. So, not a thing to worry about. Did I answer your question at all, or was that too much, or not enough?
Well, you meandered around the barn several times, so I'm I'm playing. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm aware. I've met me, so I know if I think about driving, what could happen and the diseases,
Yeah,
I can go down all those rabbit holes. So I have
yeah,
to bring, so thank goodness I'm not in that place today. In particular with this movie, it got me thinking, I don't know. Who knows? I'm thinking, is this like bad for anybody that watches it or just for me? I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. You know, that was kind of one of my questions. And the other thing I was going to say, when I was a teenager, I was home watching Vincent Price movies back in the day
yeah,
in the
yeah,
70s and 80s, and I could do that. I could watch all these crazy horror movies with all these weird things, and maybe, but now I cannot. I
yeah.
cannot. No, no, it's too real. Nuh-uh. So what's that about? But
Yeah. Well, so the quality of movies from the 50s and 60s is dramatically different than the quality of movies today. And um,
it's way
and
too real for me.
yeah, yeah, it's very real. And and in addition to the reality factor, there's a sadistic factor to horror movies today that did not exist in the Boris Karloff, Vincent Price era.
Yeah.
Um, so they are different. As far as your other question about is this movie good or bad for everybody else, um, my answer to that question, honestly, now I'm not being silly or disrespectful. That's really none of your business. Um, it's that's up to them what they do with it.
Okay.
Whatever's put, what good or bad, whatever's put out there. Um,
Okay.
so I've been doing this kind of teaching for over 50 years, literally over 50 years, and and I honestly believe there have been people that have benefited from what I've taught. I honestly believe there are people who haven't benefited at all from what I've taught. And I believe that there are a number of people who have very much twisted what I've taught to what they wanted to hear instead of what I actually said. And none of that is my responsibility. My responsibility is to bring forth what I know in the clearest and most honest way possible. And what somebody does with that is not my responsibility. So, um, whether it's movies or teaching or books or anything else, obviously, if I'm putting out something terrible, that's my responsibility. But the quality of what somebody does with information that's put out there, right? I mean, right now, you could be watching a porn site instead of coming to the inner hour Zoom meeting. It's just as available on your computer as this is. Right now, you could be watching people on the dark web doing horrible things, to each other or to children or God knows what. That's available to you, but you're not because that's not your orientation. And And the fact that it's available and some people use it, that's awful, but it doesn't have to impact you, and you are not responsible for what they do with what's out there. Um, Another example of that, which will get people really upset. So, it's not intending to upset people, but just as an example, um, if somebody has an just the way our minds work, if somebody takes their car, rams it into a group of tourists on purpose and kills a whole bunch of them. Nobody says we need more car control and nobody should be allowed to have a car. But if somebody does it with a firearm, immediately everybody says nobody should be allowed to have firearms and firearms are the problem. No, the driver was the problem and the guy behind the gun was the problem. And the mental illness behind both of those things probably was the big problem. People will find weapons no matter what you do. Until consciousness changes, there isn't anything that's going to control people's violence. So, but we use things like that all the time. What I'm trying to say is we identify the thing as the problem, not what people do with the thing as the problem. And that never has worked. And it's also been not historical. Historically, people have not done that. They've understood that the crime is the criminal's responsibility, not whether he used a knife or a gun or a bomb or a car or fireworks or his hands or a baseball bat. And there have been plenty of awful things committed with all of those things. So the idea of trying to decide what's good and bad for somebody else, in my opinion, is not a very constructive thing to do because we're not in a position to know what they need. Whether we decide something is good or bad for us, yes, and whether we decide something morally is right or wrong. Should we be putting out things with, inciting violence, inciting lust against children, whatever it is, as entertainment? We can make a call and say, no, that's absolutely morally wrong, and we're not going to support that. We're not going to support channels or producers or industry that does that. But as far as overall, um, we have more than enough to be responsible for in deciding what we're doing with our own consciousness. And sometimes that other stuff makes us feel like we're doing something more significant, and it's actually a distraction from taking responsibility for our own life. So um, take that for what it's worth, which might be nothing. But anyway, there you go.
Well, some of your things are wrong and some are right, and we'll just go with
The ones you agree with are right, and the ones you don't are wrong. I
I'm
know the
teasing.
standard. Yeah.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
I
Just a
have the
very
same I have that same standard, right? Yeah.
I'm glad we've known each other long enough that we
Yeah.
can joke.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
thanks, Liz. I'm gonna move on to Anna here if that's all right, if you feel like
can I
you're
just
kind of
finish last very, very fast?
yeah.
One less. I just wanted to know personally for me, since I feel much more sensitive to the horror than I did. I mean, it might even be the same kind of movies I watched as a kid. It feels like that crap's more real. Has something changed in me that,
Yes. Well, how
okay,
long have you been on a spiritual path now, consciously?
longer than 20, much longer than 20 years. Yeah.
I certainly hope something has changed in you. That's kind of the whole point. So
Okay.
yes,
All right.
it has. It has. You've become much more aware and much more sensitive than you used to be. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. I'm just teasing with you, but you really have.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anna, go ahead.
Yes, when Liz brought this up last week, one of the first things I thought of is the why. Why are so many people interested in this type of movie? I know it's extremely popular and won all kinds of awards at the Oscars. I haven't watched it because I knew what it was about, but it's getting all these accolades. So why are people so interested in this type of stuff? A
Well, this would
large
be
number of
this
people.
would be totally an opinion of mine, not something I really know. But if you want my opinion, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Um, my opinion is it's kind of a two-part thing. I'm trying to make it consolidated. Um, One of the reasons entertainment, the entertainment industry as a whole, is oriented more that way. If you look, for example, at most recently filmed movies, not even horror movies, just most recently filmed movies, they're physically dark. You can't
Mhm.
see half of what's going on.
It's true.
That's intentional. That's not a lighting problem. They didn't suddenly lose their lighting technology. That's a director choice. And and it's because people are getting more used to living in a dark consciousness, and they want to see that when they see realistically depicted things. But the two main things, in my opinion, are that first of all, our our culture has gotten so desensitized to everything, desensitized to compassion, desensitized to kindness, desensitized to cruelty, desensitized to food, desensitized to almost anything that people used to be sensitive to before, that they need a much hyped up version of it to feel anything.
Mm.
So, granted, we've had a lot of cultural changes in terms of cultures from other hotter climates with hotter, spicier foods and stuff coming into America than there used to be and being more popular. So our food varieties have changed and whatnot. But there is a there are a number of people now, probably worldwide, but in the United States for sure, that can't taste food
Hmm.
unless they put all kinds of hot stuff in it. They can't taste it, or all kinds of salt, because they can't taste plain food. They can't taste broccoli. They can't taste pasta. They can't taste anything because they're so desensitized. And so they have to have more exaggerated foods to be able to taste anything. And the same with entertainment. What used to move somebody, what used to create a little anxiety in somebody, what used to create a little um, sitting on the edge of your seat, or what used to create a warm, fuzzy feeling in you, now doesn't. So now they have to use very, very exaggerated things for people to even feel anything. We're a very unfeeling culture. And and at the same time, our culture has adopted language to pretend like we're now very feeling oriented. Um, so I pretend like I'm really accepting and opening of everybody, even people that our culture didn't used to like. Let's say pick who I don't care who you pick, blacks, gays, Jews, pick somebody. They didn't used to like those. So now, well, we're really open and accepting, so we really like them. And so we're very much more tolerant, much more aware, and much more alert because we care much more about these people. We hate everybody who doesn't, and we pretend like we like them, but we wouldn't want them in our social group or in our neighborhood, but we're going to say that we like them. There's a lot of lip service to noble ideas and not a lot of action behind most of it. So that, which is another issue. But so part one is our culture is desensitized and it needs more extreme things. And part two is I think a very large percentage of our population feels disempowered and invisible and unimportant. And so if something can make them feel powerful, they're going to latch onto it. So if they can grab hold of a group that says, oh, we're against these people. See, these people are terrible. And my identity now is I'm going to stand against these terrible people and I'm going to say all kinds of awful things and try to incite people against them because now I have input. People listen to me when I say that. I get lots of clicks on my Facebook when I say that. I get lots of clicks on my Instagram and TikTok when I say that. So they're suddenly visible and they suddenly feel like they have a sense of importance. And before, people used to have a sense of importance in families. Well, they've fallen apart. They used to have a sense of importance in respect in the workplace. Well, that's fallen apart. They used to have a sense of respect in culture as a whole. There's just so much degradation in culture that people are really kind of grasping at straws. And so if something can titillate them and make them feel alive, including scaring them half to death so they feel alive, or make them feel like they have power, which anger and hatred do, then you're going to see a lot more of that around you in the culture in all forms of media. And I think we're seeing a lot more of that in all forms of media. So
Mm,
that's, and I certainly could be wrong, but that's what it seems to me is happening, at least in part.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your input.
Yeah. Again, if I have actually tried this with, with some people, mostly family, like kids and grandkids. But if you invite people to, okay, here's a classic example, one I actually tried. There's an old movie called Meet Me in St. Louis. Um, and it's about the World Fair that took place in
Yeah.
St. Louis many years ago.
Mm,
It's a musical, has Judy
okay.
Garland in it. So
Yeah.
that's how old it is. Um, it's a sweet, fun movie that depicts the times. Um, it's all about family. It's all about growing up. It's all about male-female relationships and sibling relationships and cultural responsibilities. And and a time of expectation and hope for the country and all that. And it's a lovely movie. And if you give most kids, my children or grandchildren's age, a choice between watching that and a Marvel Comics superhero movie or a horror movie even, or some other dark, violent, realistic movie, or crime shows, true crime shows about awful stuff that have happened to people, they pick those.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a time when we wouldn't have picked it. I mean, obviously certain people did, but as a whole, there's a shift going on that I see, and maybe I'm looking in the wrong spot, but there's a shift away from simple goodness and kindness to power and revenge and fear that I think is because of the change in consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And then it itself is changing consciousness. So
Yeah, it's very sad.
it is to me. And I feel a little like my grandpa. Why, the world used to be better when I was a kid. I feel like the old guy now. I am the old guy
It
now.
was.
Yeah, but he was right, and so am I. So, so it's a it's yeah. Anyway, that's my stuff. So thank you, Anna, for the question. Did you have any other thing, or should we move on to Allison?
No, I'm good.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you, dear. Okay, Allison, go ahead.
Well, only if you are ready for some levity about this topic.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I just want you to know that during my time learning from you here in Michigan and with Faithful Heart,
Hey.
and I learned so much stuff, and anyway, it's been a wonderful, fabulous journey, and I've kept as much of that with me as I could. But I wanted you to know that because of what I was learning and what I didn't realize then was how I was changing and opening up more. Oh, and I could put my video on for this.
Oh, good.
Um, anyway,
Yay. Hello.
so hi. So I always blamed you. In fact, you and Faithful Heart, because I remember that I think as a group we went to, and I don't know if you were with us, but you might have been. We went to go see Jurassic Park.
Ah,
And I mean, I've always been pretty sensitive about that stuff, but I figured it was yours and Faithful Heart's fault. I couldn't even get through Jurassic Park without taking myself to the bathroom in the middle. It was too scary.
yeah. I did not join you guys on that one. I know about when you went, but I wasn't up
Yeah.
there then. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so I always blamed that on you and Faithful Heart.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment, actually. Thank you. Faithful Heart, for those of you who don't know, a couple of you do because you were around then, but Faithful Heart was a study group that was started up in Michigan in a private home, went on for a number of years, and I used to go up a couple times. Well, initially for a while, a couple times a month, I would come up, and then I think it went back to once a month. But it was a nice group of people, and we did a lot of study together. And Allison was part of that group, and so was Eunice, and I don't think anybody else here was. But anyway, yeah.
Diane, if she's on, but I don't
I
know if
don't
she's
see
on.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, she is actually. Yeah, her phone's
Okay.
on. Yeah. So yeah, Diane was too. Anyway,
That's all.
thank you for
Just
the
thought I'd tell you.
lovely
I thought
memory.
always thought it was your fault and faithful heart. That now I'm just I consider myself just a sap, and I have to I have to be so careful with what I do go see. I just take I can't take most of, what is popular culture stuff. I can't be around it.
I know. I totally get that. I really do. And
Some of the musicals, I can do the musicals pretty
yeah,
much. Yeah,
generally, yeah.
mostly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Allison. All right, Liz, back to you.
Hey, I hope this is my last question about evil and bad stuff and darkness. But you confessed, and I also like to watch murder mysteries.
Hmm.
So yeah. So, but it's more more the cozy stuff like Father Brown and that kind of
Yeah, yeah.
when it gets too, yeah, I don't, yeah. Anyway, so I was just throwing that out with all the stuff we've talked about. You and I were talking about a draw to that.
Yeah,
What's up with us that
yeah,
we're interested in that?
yeah. Well, since we're doing it, it has to be okay.
That's not an answer.
Prevailing attitude, right? Um, so, well, um, yeah. So obviously, there's a distinction again.
Okay.
Everything, because, for example, yes, murder is horrible. If we were attracted to real murder, that would be very different.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with being attracted to murder mysteries, especially cozy murder mysteries,
Yeah.
as that genre is called. Um, the the There are people that I know that are almost addicted to. I mean, they're big fans of true crime shows, really gruesome crime shows. That's not at all like reading a cozy murder mystery novel. Um, and the point of the novel really is not the murder. The point of the novel, in almost all those cases, is A, seeing if you can put together clues and figure it out before it's revealed, and B, the character development.
Right. Right.
If you don't care about the characters in a murder mystery, you don't care much about the murder mystery.
Right.
So if they don't make you care about these people and their interactions and their effect on each other, the murder mystery is like a canvas on which that's painted. But the clues and the relationship between the characters are what's really central. You can have an interesting plot with characters you don't care at all about, and you may not even finish reading the book. So it's the person to person thing, which is a healthy dynamic, and figuring out things from clues, which is what we're trying to do every day, all the time in our real life. So that's not at all like the other stuff we're talking about, from my
Well,
perspective.
thank you very much. I
Yeah.
feel like, okay, I'm right about this then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. And you're mostly right about stuff in general. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, it wouldn't be too interesting if I were always right, I suppose. So, right. Anyway, thanks, Liz. All right. So, anybody else? Okay. So what I want to talk about tonight more is the love aspect, and um, the again, big topic, and like with all other topics, it's it's a lifelong learning process. But I wanted to share some things about it that I've my experiences with it that may or may not be helpful. I hope they are helpful. Um, hold on. Get a couple of notes here so I don't forget stuff I was hoping to say. Um, One of the things is, and some of what I'm going to say will be real familiar to some of you and maybe very unfamiliar to others of you. What we experience, first of all, love is real, and it is not confined to human experience. And the 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 spirit of love, the dynamic of love, the energy of love. We don't have real good words for any of this stuff, so we kind of have to point to it by talking around it. The spirit of love is something that exists with or without human beings because it's the divine substance of pure being. It's part of the inherent nature and dynamic of being with a capital B. How we experience love is going to be filtered through our mental belief system and our emotional experience background. So we're going to be limiting this pervasive spirit of love by filtering it through our understanding at the human level of experience. And so what a lot of people don't talk about, and many don't know, is that what we experience of love depends on whether we're experiencing it in the body or beyond the body. They're different. And so what I mean by that is when I'll just use a bunch of words that are my definitions. When the soul is focused into and through the body, like we are now because we're physically conscious and present and functioning here in this body. When the soul is in the body, it's never contained in the body, but when it's focusing into and through the body, when the soul's in the body, it experiences things through human consciousness. When the soul is beyond the body, it is not limited to experiencing things through human consciousness. So there's a qualitative difference of possible experiences, whether you're in body or out of body. So if I'm in my body, for example, I can see the things that are around me in this room right now. I cannot see what's happening on the street outside of my home. I can't see that. I can hear it, but I can't see it. And if I were able to somehow take my conscious awareness and pop it out of this body and just be floating up there and look and go, oh, I see what's going on over there in the street, and then pop back, I would have a different viewpoint than I do from inside the body. So first of all, a lot of the different teachings about love are because some teachers are talking about love beyond the body and what the experience of that is, and some are talking about what the experience of it is within the body. And there are teachers that don't believe there's anything beyond the body, so they never talk about that. There are people who think the body doesn't matter, so they never talk about it. Both matter, obviously. I hope, obviously. So I'm going to talk about in the body first because that's the most common that we all experience. So in the body, one of the things that's talked about a lot is the importance of the heart. And the physical heart is the reference point for that. Although when we're talking about being a heart-centered person, or when we're talking about being that really touched my heart, or those kind of things, we don't mean just the physical organ, but the physical organ is linked to that. So if we are open to experiencing love at a human level and sharing it with people and being willing to receive love from people and being willing to give love to people, then we feel that in this region. We don't feel that so much in our head. We feel that more here. There's even language like, you need to move from your head to your heart. Those kind of language things in psychology and philosophy and spiritual teachings about being heart-centered. Then there's talk in esoteric groups about chakras and the heart chakra versus, the crown chakra or ajna or brow chakra or other things. So that's because the heart, all spiritual energies that we can experience in the human form have a corresponding organ or gland that is the primary receptor of that energy. So the heart is the primary receptor of being able to feel love at a human level. It is not the brain. It is not the right hand or the left knee. It's the heart. And so that's why all the heart-oriented talk and being heart-focused and all those sorts of things. The physical organ of the heart is affected by how spiritually open or closed we are to love. So if we continue to open ourselves to love, and this will sound maybe crazy to some of you, your physical heart and your arterial system will tend to not have blockages, even if you have a lousy diet. The diet will contribute to that, but it's not just dietary. If you close yourself down and repress your love a long time, out of fear, out of shame, whatever it is, and you keep repressing that and keep repressing it and repressing it, what will happen is the arteries in your body, including the major ones in your heart, will start to shut down. They will get more and more and more and more and more constricted to the point that they don't work well. And then you're in a lot of physical danger. So repressing yourself will lead to circulatory and arterial and heart problems. Positively, they will, even if you have a good diet. The good diet can help offset that, and bad diet can make it worse faster. The other organs like that, like the adrenals, for example, are primarily react to fright and pump extra hormones in the body to make you stronger, faster, so on and so on. So if you're in a constant state of anxiety or fright, you're overstressing the adrenals, and the adrenals will start to be damaged because they're not working in the balance they're supposed to be working in. So all the organs in the body respond to spiritual energy and will be healthier or less healthy depending on what we do with those spiritual energies. So in relation to the heart, that's where we feel the emotional impact of the spirit of love in our life is in the heart. So when we feel in the presence of love, we feel our heart soften. These are some words we use to describe how it feels. We feel our heart soften. We feel it warm. We feel it begin to expand. We feel it begin to relax. We have these different ways of describing it when we feel that. And if we have a certain set of life experiences at an emotional level, we will interpret the love that we feel based on those experiences. So if you are a woman, and it could be the other way around, you have to pick an example. If you are a woman and you have had very negative experiences with men, and your primary experiences with men are that they let you down, they cheat on you, they lie to you, all they want is sex from you. If that's your primary experience with men, and you kind of have that attitude, and somebody, let's say a minister or a priest or an employer, somebody in your life, a male in your life, is really, really kind to you. They genuinely love you. I don't mean they're romantically attracted to you, or they want sex with you, or they want to be romantically involved with you. They're genuinely loving toward you. They're displaying loving kindness and consideration toward you, and you've never had that before. What you're actually experiencing is the spirit of love through them. But the way you will interpret it, most likely, is they love you. They are falling in love with you, and you think you're falling in love with them. That's why therapists and ministers often have this transference effect where their patients fall in love with them. And it's typically patients who haven't had that experience much in their real life. So they misinterpret that. They misinterpret the kindness and the help as I'm in love with this person. If if we if we have a certain mental orientation and we begin to experience love from somebody, and we have convinced ourselves through our belief system and our emotional experiences that we're no good, that nobody really loves us, that we're not worthy of love, that we're not good enough to be loved, that we should be ashamed of ourselves, either how we look or how we think or something. And then somebody really does love us, we don't believe it. We feel it, but our minds won't let us believe it because we have such a strong fortress of belief built up that the actual love that we're seeking can't get in, and we wall it out. So at the human level, the degree to which we open to love is dependent largely on our mental orientation and our emotional background. Those can both be changed, but that's largely the dynamic of how much or little we open to it and how we understand it. So at the mental level, for example, love at the mental level is an idea. It's not a living reality. It's not a spirit. It's not being. It's not an energy. It is a concept or an idea. And at the mental level, if you're working with love at the mental level, the mind will try to figure it out. Is this love? Is it not love? Is this real? Is it not real? Where does it come from? What kind of love is it? The mind will categorize love. Oh, this is puppy love, not real love. Oh, this is love for our pets, whereas this is love for my wife, whereas this is love for my children, whereas this is love for pizza, whereas this is love for my country, whereas this is love for my work. And it will begin to categorize all these different types of love. It'll put them in nice little boxes. It'll try to define them. It'll try to keep them organized, and it will compare them. And well, this love's better than that love, and this love's more pure than that love, and all those sorts of things. And trying to understand it and define it. So that's what the mind will do with those sorts of things. The soul, what I'm calling the soul in us, which is not of the body, the soul that we are pre-existed this physical form, and it will exist after this physical form. That soul in us is not bound by the limitations of our belief system or our emotional background or habits or our physical condition. So when the soul is in the body, it's limited to all those things. That's what it experiences. When it transcends the body, that either at death or through meditation or through prayer or some other experience where it has this transcendent thing where it actually lifts out of the human frame of reference as a human consciousness, and the soul is just its own consciousness again, then at that level, it can experience actually the pure nature of this, what we call divine love or spirit of love, all these words. And it can experience that with, and the love that it experiences is not time or space oriented, and it is not form oriented. And you can't analyze it or compare it to any other kind of love. It's just love. And you can't make it better or worse than other love because it's just love. And you can't define it because as soon as you do, there's another aspect of it you hadn't seen that doesn't fit the definition. So it's an all-encompassing, pervasive experience that is not going to fit in your belief system, more than likely, or your emotional experience, more than likely. And it's going to be something very transcendent feeling and very freeing. There will be a boy, and when we talked about how love feels at the human level in the heart, at the soul level, it feels incredibly freeing, incredibly buoyant, incredibly light, incredibly inviting and comforting and very exhilarating and calming at the same time, and very omnipresent. It's not just focused on you, it's just everywhere. You're not just focusing on this person I love, you're just in in the love that just is filling you. You're immersed in it. Um, it is, it is, and it is so clear that there's no language that can describe the clarity of it. And it is so real that everything here, filtered through human consciousness, by comparison, seems quite dim and feels heavy. Not bad, just dim and heavy. And versus when you break out of that, it feels very light and very buoyant and very, very freeing. And then once you're beyond the body, there are multiple kinds of experiences the soul can have that aren't limited to body or form frame of reference. And consequently are very hard to talk about because our language is form framework oriented. Our language has been developed to describe things, not consciousness. That's why some other languages like ancient Hebrew or ancient Sanskrit are somewhat better acclimated to that because they dealt more with it. Even so, it's still problematic. But so, okay, I'm going to stop there. That's kind of a lot in a little bit of time, maybe. But I get one last thing. I'm lying. I didn't mean to. I'm going to stop after this. The last thing is trying to draw the differentiation. When we experience love in the body, it's something we can think about, we can form ideas about, we can have concepts about, we can try to understand and analyze, we can sense it, we can feel it emotionally, we can resist it or open to it or close to it. And we can try to understand it. Beyond the body, it is not conceptual, not definable, not understandable. It is known only through an absolute direct experiential encounter. That's the only way it's known. You can't talk your way to it or think your way to it. So, and the love that we experience at this level is the emanation of that boundless love coming into points of focus through human beings to be manifest in a time-space realm, which otherwise it's not present in that. The spirit of love did not originate in time-space realms. It was the other way around. Time-space realms were born out of the spirit of love. So, okay, a lot of cosmology, a lot of stuff. Some of it may sound like nonsense, but I'm going to quit there. Any comments or questions so far? Shirley Nahawan.
I'm not sure how I can, if I can even say this. I'm rather tired from a very busy week.
Thank you for being here.
Sorry, we didn't want to miss it. The way you've expressed it or put it in the words you put it almost is like a dichotomy. The way it works for me a little bit more is that I think of myself, and I feel bounded. When I think beyond myself, I feel expansive and spacious. And the more I open up in that spacious way, the more I feel the love beyond me.
Yeah.
Beyond ego.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that says it at all or if that's.
No, I think that's excellent. Yeah, I think that's excellent.
I just wanted to say that because that's what kept coming up for me.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you. What you're talking about is going beyond self. The mechanics of that we probably don't fully understand, but the mechanics of that, I believe, have to do with what I'm talking about of transcending the human framework. And the transcending is not, again, it's hard to talk about. It's in the way I'm talking about it, is not a going somewhere. It's a expansion beyond that vibrationally. So the focal point is no longer contained in this little me self that I think about all the time. It's a much broader
Something that really helped me with that, being
Mhm.
able to become more expansive, more spacious,
Yeah.
as I would meditate, I realized just automatically I went forward because, we think and we look forward and all
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
that. And when I sat and imagined the 360, thought about the energy behind me, not just in
Yes.
front,
Yes.
it really aided that process of opening up.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. I found an old Kabbalistic practice. I'm trying to remember the rabbi that did it. You might know. Um, and it's in other traditions too, but I found it there, where you sit and you begin to imagine in front of you, which is like you said, what we typically do, projecting out in front, and then you bring it back into the center, and then begin to imagine behind you, and then you bring it back to the center, and then you begin to imagine everything beneath you, and beneath the earth, and beneath, through the universe, and then back to you, and then everything above you, and then back to you, and then eventually from here it just goes out in all the, like you said, the 360. And it's a similar kind of thing I think that you were describing that I've also found very useful.
Yeah, and that would, I think it would all depend on at what point person is in how experienced they are with meditation on
Mm. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
good work too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Anyway,
and back to what you said, another key I think with that, Nahama, is that uh, so so much of spiritual wisdom seems to have to do with learning how to practice letting go of the ego and going beyond the self. And
mhm.
and I think a lot of the orientation on detachment is not that all attachment is bad, but that to most of the attachments are ego oriented and the little self, if you want to think of it that way. And if we can learn how to transcend that and move into that more spacious thing you're talking about, or this beyond the body thing I'm talking about, I think
One,
that's really, really useful. And I think most traditions in some way address that need to let go of that limiting kind of consciousness and to be able to experience this more expansive awareness.
one of the things that made that easier for me was to think about the fact that that doesn't go away as I get expansive.
Mhm.
It's there. It's just being held in
Yes,
that love, in that
yes,
gentle, caring, love, compassionate
that's right.
space, whatever
That's right.
words people want to find to describe it.
That's right.
Energized,
Yeah,
you know.
energized. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, good, really good point. There's not a separation. I mean,
right.
when I talk about it, I know it sometimes sounds like that. It's not a separation. It's just a different layer, if you will, of the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You just
Thank you.
get a lot bigger,
Lots bigger.
and there's not a lot of me there.
Do you remember the movie Aladdin with the genie that was in the little
Yeah,
vast cosmic power, itty bitty living space? Right.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Anna, go ahead.
Cardiovascular disease is the number one killer, probably globally. So, following through with what you're saying, it seems like planet Earth is a place where we've come to learn about love.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people are having problems with that actually go back very much to their early experiences
Yeah.
because they haven't been loved or nurtured, so they
Yeah.
don't know about it. So
By the
then,
way, oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, then it seems like the only way to even get a foot in the door to help them start learning that is to have them start experiencing the higher love or spiritual love
Hmm.
because it's too difficult for them to believe in human love.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Good point. Just the things that I said about the spiritual energy versus the organs, was there anything in that that didn't seem right to you medically from your perspective?
Well, it was just interesting to me because I do use a five element theory in the Chinese medical theory, which does attach emotions to the different organs, and the heart is attached to the fire meridian. It's a
Mhm.
fire meridian organ, and it's
Mhm.
attached to the hormone systems and the adrenal glands and everything. So, um, it was interesting because the first thought I had was, oh, well, maybe that explains why people die of heart attacks and they have totally clear arteries.
Yeah. Yeah. And which
And
which a lot of non-medical people don't maybe know, but lots of people have no atherosclerosis or any blocked arteries at all and have heart attacks. So
mhm.
yeah.
They have a coronary, they'll have an aneurysm or they have a spasm or
Yeah. Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting for me to reflect on, is what I'll say. Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you come up with more about that, let me know.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Hannah. We'll do one more here. I know we're at 8 o'clock. Lois, go ahead.
Hello, Stephen. I just
Hello,
want to
dear.
thank you. I just want to thank you. This really set some things in place that I've been looking at and just kind of set it in a different way. And I really appreciate being here tonight to hear what you had to say, especially the loving, the loving part.
Hmm.
And now I just lost my train of thought, but I've been cleansing for a couple of days, so my brain's kind of like somewhere else, but I got it. I got it tonight. And I have a sense that as I grow more and expand, it's really going to change my life.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you.
And as you, I mean, from my perspective, your growth has already changed your life a lot
Yes,
in a really positive sense.
yes. And what I'm going through with the surgery and everything, I just feel ready, prepared, confident. I'm going to go in there and I'm not going to try to control. I'm just going to trust the trust trust the outcome and surrender to the process.
It's
Whether I want to or not, I'm going to do
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Well, we're definitely in our prayers for all that, Lois. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
if anybody didn't happen to get our email about that, did you want to mention what's coming up and when for you or not? If you're talking, you're muted, Lois. I don't know if you heard me or not.
Am I now?
No, you're not.
Okay.
You're open now.
Okay. I see a little green light this time. So I'm going to have surgery. It's 4 to 6 weeks recovery. If anybody wants to come, I can give you directions of how to get here. There is a security downstairs I have to explain. So text me or email me a couple of days ahead of time, and I'll be sure I'll be looking for you.
And what kind of help would you appreciate? Like meals or just company
I won't
or
be I won't be able to bend. So in 2 weeks, I'm sure the dust bunnies will be gathering. But I've got people for the first week up until Easter. And the other thing is I have to have somebody with me because I'm on a CPAP and uh, previous surgery, or it was actually a procedure, a colonoscopy. I quit breathing for a little while.
Hmm,
So I have to have people who are willing to check on me a couple of times for
okay.
the first week. And if you want to bring food, I know Ani, I asked for
Yeah,
the squash she makes.
yeah.
And if you want to bring food, that's fine. Just email me or text me.
And is it okay
Need your prayers.
is it okay in this light, Lois, if somebody gets a hold of us because they don't have your contact information, do I need to check with you or because they want to connect on this to help you? Can I just go ahead and give them your information?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
Anybody
All right. Thanks,
that
Lois.
I would probably know or benefit anything from. I'm totally open. That's really about part of this process. I realize Stephen is reaching out more. I'm a doer.
Yeah.
I'm not always open to receiving, and it's been having to be vulnerable to ask for help in this
Okay.
situation, especially.
No kidding. All right. Well, God bless
Thank
Lois.
you all
You're in
for
our prayers and I'll,
support.
yep. And so anybody,
Support.
yeah, reach out to Lois if you can help. And if you don't know how to contact her, let us know. We'll give you the information. All right. We need to, sorry, Shuli Nahama again. Then we need to wrap up. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, a few things. One, I have to give you a finger pointing and make certain that you and Auntie are aware that next Sunday is Easter, so I will be very shocked if you're doing inner hour next Sunday. So you know better.
Thank you
And
for pointing that out. I am going to be doing inner hour next Sunday. So we may only have, Ani and I here, but we're going to do it anyway.
oh, I'm impressed. Good boy.
Yeah,
I'm
there
shocked.
you
I
go.
thought you wouldn't. And it's driving me nuts about the whole sinners thing. And I think that's the wrong example because if you want horror, go and look at Ready or Not. I'm not a horror person, but I know my movies. And I know that's more the horror thing because the only issue why Sinners is considered horror is because of the supernatural vampires that are in it. But if you really look at it from a different context, it has more to do with the time period and the culture of that time period.
Interesting.
Because it's set in the 1930s during the Jim Crow laws.
Right.
So if you look at it from that, it's completely different. It just has vampires in it as well at the end. And the other thing is also made with the love part made me think of the whole mythology on Aphrodite and Ares.
Yeah.
Love and peace, war and love.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have the contrast between the
good example. Yeah, good example. Thank you. I haven't done Greek or Roman mythology for a long, long time. I used to just be really fascinated with that stuff. And so it's good, nice little reminder. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we went a little bit over tonight. Thank you for your patience and for being here. We sure appreciate it. So just take one more moment of quiet, if we would, and kind of bring ourselves back to that place of peace within us again. And take in whatever has been uplifting and helpful, and just gently lay aside the rest. And this week, may we all be blessed with health and kindness, and with the knowledge that whenever we act in kindness, we are literally changing the balance of the world. However small it might seem to us, it makes a big difference everywhere. So thank you all for your kindness and your support and your presence. I appreciate it. Love you all. Hope to see some of you next week, which will be Easter, but I will be here.
We'll be here. Don't worry, we will. We'll
All
annoy
right.
you.
All right.
We love you too. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.